Hi, everybody. How's it going? Bonnie Violet here. You have found yourself at Dragon Spirituality, named and known. This is our sixth and final episode. This series is being hosted by Urban Village Church, so big shout out to Urban Village Church for making this happen, along with Juan Pablo, who's helping out with tech this evening. This is an opportunity where a drag show meets church. So feel free to tip your queen throughout the show. Milani is our guest this evening, and her Venmo is there on the screen, but it's at Millusion, MILLUSI 0N. And we'll be putting that up throughout the event so that you can tip her throughout the night if you feel so inclined. Also, we love getting questions from the audience and interaction, so please feel free to comment, leave questions, and we'll do our best to bring attention to them. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and go to introducing our guest this evening. I'm super excited to have her join us. Our guest this evening is Milani. Hey, love.
Hi, everyone.
How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm good. You're looking beautiful.
So are you.
Oh, thanks. So glad that you could join me tonight.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yes, for sure. And I am not really good at foreplay, so I usually like to just dive right in, take full advantage of the time that we can. But would you tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up yourself as a little person?
Yeah. So I grew up in a Catholic household, thinking that being gay was a big sin, which really took a toll on my entire growing up. Like it was like I used to get to the point where I used to try to pray the gay away. Like I literally used to sit down and try to pray for me to, get these thoughts and these feelings out of the way. I grew up in a Catholic church hold, which is very, very known to be very homophobic, transphobic. And that's how I grew up with. I mean, eventually, as I grew up, I learned more about other religions, other spiritual stuff. So, yeah.
Did you know that you were, I guess, gay or queer, however way you identify it? Like, when did you first realize that?
No, I was very confused in the beginning. So I had no idea what gay was at all. I had no idea what being transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary, none of that. So I grew up, with this mentality of going to church and these priests telling you all these, verses from the Bible and all these things. And I had no idea what it was. That's why I was praying all these negative thoughts away. I used to pray it away. Well, obviously, it didn't work, but I tried my best to pray it away. Which it made me feel horrible. It made me feel horrible trying to, quote unquote, fix myself. But even though there was something wrong with me.
Yeah. When did that change for you?
I guess in my teenage years, when I started to realize, like there's something wrong with me. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. As you're a child, whatever religion you grew up with,
right?
Your family, your parents, your grandparents, they will make sure that you try to follow these guidelines. These very strict religion rules. But it's not until you actually grow up, get to meet other people, get to meet other religions, get to meet people with different spiritualities, well, you realize, there's other things outside besides your specific religion. So it wasn't until I grew up that I realized, there's other things out there. There's other good things out there for me. And that's when I started to realize that there's nothing wrong with me. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. It was just I was born differently. I think differently, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with me trying to pray.
Right. Yeah. So once you came to that realization for yourself, how did that impact your spirituality or your relationship with your family?
Um, well, it's different in every household. I will say that. Um, so it's obviously going to be different in every family. So for me personally, um, it's not like I how would I say this? I it just made me. I just feel honestly, it just made me feel like I educated myself even more
Mm-hmm.
about what else is out there, not just about my religion. I understood my religion. I understood my personal spirituality. I
Mm-hmm.
explored my spirituality. Um, but I feel, obviously in the beginning, growing up as a in a very Catholic Mexican household, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to, go to church school. You're supposed to do this and that, which I did. But it still wasn't like fulfilling my spirituality. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until I grew up and found out that there was nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like there's not.
Not at all. So did you feel like you had to leave being Catholic, or you were able to kind of still be Catholic and then explore these other things?
No. Well, yes and no. Like I felt like I didn't need to leave my religion. It
Mm-hmm.
just I needed to step away from certain views
Right.
because, like I said, I became more educated and I realized like I don't have to leave my religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I don't have to follow it 100%. Nobody does.
Right, right.
Nobody does. There's so many people committing sins. That's why it's so messed up that growing up as children, we are, given these ideas. You can't sing, you can't do this, you can't do that. It messes up. It messes
Yeah.
up. It like interferes with our mental health,
Mm-hmm.
which is horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you grow up, you realize nobody followed all these rules. Nobody, everybody commits sin.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's when I realized I'm like, I can still go ahead and be myself and still find my way. I don't have to leave my religion, but it
Right.
also allows me to explore other religions, find the connectivity, and not necessarily convert into the religion, but actually embrace my religion in certain aspects and also embrace other religions in certain aspects.
Mm-hmm. I recall when I left the church, I grew up in church. When I left church because I was gay, I
Mhm.
felt like I left church, so I left religion, but I still kind of had God. Do you see those as separate or together?
Um, Very similar. Like I mean, yeah, I did leave religion. I didn't leave spirituality. I still
Mm-hmm.
believe in God. I still believe in a great being. It's just that specific practices in a specific religion. What's that word? People are leaving. ¿Cómo se dice? Oh my God, what's that word? I'll come back to it. But there's a specific word that a lot of people are like straying away from a specific, not religion, but the way it works.
Mm-hmm. So just kind of like stepping outside of religion, but
Mhm.
with God in mind still.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. I know for me, I felt like God, I didn't understand it all, but I knew that God was probably okay and the people were wrong. But I also
Mhm.
too, just, I
Yes.
wasn't able to figure it out either, though. I was still kind of like confused myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so after that, after you kind of came to that realization, I guess, what did that look like as far as like kind of leaning into that experience, more of a spiritual experience than a religious spirit experience?
Well, I felt like I still believe in God. I still
Mhm.
believe in saints, and I still believed in my culture, because culture and religion goes hand in hand. So I'm still part of my culture. I'm still part of my religion. Is just certain aspects where like I absolutely do not agree with and do not believe with.
Mhm.
Um, And it took years for me to realize that it was okay for me to go ahead and study other religions
Mm-hmm.
and study other spiritualities. It took that for me to understand that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And did you kind of just study a lot of different ones, or did you kind of lean into one more than the other?
Well, growing up in a Mexican family, it was all about Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I grew up Mexican, I still grew up in a very Puerto Rican dominant neighborhood. So I still had a lot of Puerto Rican friends. And then as I grew up, I found out about a specific religion that I mentioned in the bio, which is Santeria, which for us as Catholics, Santeria is viewed as something negative. It's viewed as something like scary and witchcraft-ish.
Gotcha.
Which, it made me grow up being scared of it. It wasn't until I got older that I found out there's nothing wrong with it. I started researching it. Some of my close friends were part of it. They were practicing it. Then little by little, I learned more and more about it, and I learned to respect it, and I learned to love it. But I also learned that just because you're in this specific Santeria religion doesn't drive away from whatever religion you came from, because Santeria accepts Catholics, Christians, from Muslims, Judaism, from any religion that a lot of people don't know about.
So it's more of a space of an inclusion.
It's very inclusive. Yeah.
And so when did drag come into your life?
Drag came into my life 3 years after I graduated from high school, where there was some contest. I joined it, I won, and then I started performing little by little. But it started because I used to be shy, believe it or not, but it wasn't until I became a performer in high school, then outside of high school, where I learned that I have a voice as a drag performer. I have a voice that reaches out a bigger audience as opposed to me just being my regular non-drag person.
Right.
So that started about 2009. And, as the years went by, little by little, I learned that it's actually very helpful. As you may know, as a lot of people watching this may know, like being a drag performer, whether you're trans, drag king, drag queen, trans performer, doesn't matter. A performer in the drag world is a very big impact in our LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this series is initially is because I feel like drag artists are in a lot of ways the queer and LGBTQ communities kind of spiritual leaders. I know that we don't usually call them that, but to me, my understanding of spirituality, like in good church done good, is creating safe space that that heals people, that takes care of people, that lifts people's spirits. And to me, I feel like that's what my understanding of drag artists have always been. They've always been kind of the person in the community to lift the spirit. Yeah. And so you said you first started doing shows or competitions. Was it like pageant or ball scene or?
Well, actually I was part of ballroom before I became a drag queen.
Okay.
So I started, I became part of the House of Ninja before I even started doing drag. Because.
Was that while you were still in high school or outside of high school?
Well, outside of high school. Like right before I started doing drag, like a lot of I think it was like maybe 16, 17. Don't tell nobody because, we weren't supposed to do stuff. A lot of my close friends started becoming part of the ballroom scene here in Chicago, which I knew nothing about. And those close friends were part of the Latinx community. And, little by little, I started to learn about it. And, because of that, I discovered that, Black people and brown people have very similar struggles. We may not be going through the same struggles, but we are going through similar struggles. So, it became like part of me. You see it in Paris is Burning. For
Yeah,
those
yeah.
who have seen Paris is Burning, the houses became part of the, started from the Black community mixed
Mhm.
with the Latinx community. So I started walking balls before I started doing drag.
Mhm.
And then I used to separate it. I used to separate it where, my pageants were Milani and drag, the ball scene was Gustavo and Bizarre. But
Mhm.
then little by little, I'm like, there's a connection. There's a connection because we still face a lot of the same struggles.
Right.
People of color face very similar struggles. So that's what made me combine both of them because of that, because of ballroom,
Mhm.
because of drag, it has allowed me to have a voice and be able to work with LGBT community members, not only here in Chicago, not only here in Illinois, but like all across the United States.
Mhm. Did you have a favorite category or a category that you were really great in the ball scene?
Where? No,
Yeah.
still am.
No, yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, so when I started competing in the ballroom scene, I started competing in this category called Bizarre, which was a runway category where you had to come in like big, extravagant, avant-garde costumes, usually made out of like stuff you would never think these costumes would be made of. And I competed in it for many, many years. And actually, it wasn't until I think 2006, maybe. Basically, in the like 13 years that I've been competing in this category, I've only lost once here in Chicago.
Oh wow. See, iconic, huh?
Yeah, and my
Runway?
first time losing that category wasn't even here. My first time losing that category was in New York at the Latex Ball,
Mm,
which to me, I didn't care. I just wanted to walk. I just wanted to compete.
right.
So it meant a lot for me to compete in the mecca of where ballroom started.
Mhm.
And I didn't care about winning. I just cared about showing myself. And here's the thing: a lot of people don't know. Even though I did not win that certain specific ball for that specific category, months later, when they had the New York Awards ball, I ended up winning the best effect of the year at the New York Awards ball, which
Awesome.
still like speaks a lot.
Congratulations. Maya is on and she's sending hearts our way or your way, our way, either way.
That's my daughter.
Yes. So when you started doing drag, then it was kind of in the pageant scene, correct?
Yes, yes. So when I started doing drag, I started doing drag because, like I said, that's where my work in HIV prevention started.
Mhm.
That's where I became my first actual pageant was El Boricua in Humboldt Park, and it
Mhm.
was through Vida Sida, through the Puerto Rican Culture Center. And because of that, I started my trainings through the Chicago Department of Public Health. That's how I became involved with the empowerment program. And that's how little by little I started as a youth volunteer to a manager of community education and outreach because of my drag persona. I always made sure that I always included that.
Mhm.
A lot of people, like I said before, they don't realize that us performers, drag queens, trans people, us that get up in the gig, we have
Mhm.
a huge influence in a lot of people.
Yeah, we're able to connect with our community in a way that nobody else really can.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean I think it was great. I think that's something that the HIV community in particular has, like HIV itself has done really well as far as like really trying to create space for people within communities that are impacted more, I guess, drastically by HIV, even over the years as the face is, I wouldn't say it's changed, but I mean, it has a little bit, but some of the same communities are still getting hit pretty hard.
yeah.
Um, yeah. And so what's your role now? Are you still working in the field?
Actually, yes. Currently, right now, I'm an HIV tester and counselor at Calor, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Um, I have been there for a little bit over half a year, but besides working there,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I have been very fortunate to have recently become an ambassador for CDC's Let's Stop HIV Together campaign, which is part of the CDC's list, ending HIV epidemic, which is huge. Like through the whole entire United States and Puerto Rico, they only picked 12 ambassadors, and I'm one of them representing Chicago. So I get to work on a national level with other HIV prevention people all over the United States. And like we actually just had a meeting earlier. Unfortunately, we can't travel. Usually, like being in this part of this program, like, you know, the former ambassadors used to be travel to like Atlanta, conferences to New York and everything. But because of COVID, we're not able to travel. So we have to do our work, you know, through Zoom calls and, you know, virtually, which speaks a lot because even though COVID has taken over a lot of our daily activities, which has stopped us from traveling, it hasn't stopped HIV. So we know that we still need to do that work. We still need to continue to do HIV prevention,
right?
Regardless of whatever, you know, is going on, you know.
In what ways has COVID impacted your care? Like, what does care look different?
Absolutely.
And what?
Absolutely. Because of COVID, a lot of our services have to change. Whether, you know, like as far as like people making appointments to come to get tested, even personally positive out person. So now we have to deal with telehealth. Now, you know, we can't specifically go to our doctor's appointments. So now we have to do telehealth, which is just like, you know, what we're doing right now. You're the doctor, I'm the patient, and we're talking about, you know, what's going on with me. And then that way, even though we're staying safe from the, you know, at home, we're still able to take care of people and their services. And I've actually been fortunate enough to, even though like we were going through COVID, thankfully, because of, I know I annoy a lot of people on my Facebook statuses about HIV prevention and all of that. And I may not get as many likes as I want, but I will say this, I have been able to get people into HIV treatment, newly diagnosed, people who were out of care, and people who want to get into PrEP. You know, my little posts may be annoying, but they work. At some point, they work. They really do.
Yeah, no, it's super powerful. I used to run an AIDS organization in Idaho, and I ran almost everything through Facebook. I mean, this was years ago, but we raised money, we got volunteers, we got people into services. And yeah, you were getting like DMs of people who were like in pretty like dire, you know, positions that were like, hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that being more during COVID or less or about the same?
I feel like it might be a little bit more because of COVID. Because, you know, COVID is still brand new. So a lot of us don't know how much it affects certain people with certain, you know, immunodeficiencies. So I've noticed a lot of people, and I'm not saying getting scared, but they're more concerned and getting more into treatment than they were before.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of one of the benefits. I mean, it's like right now it feels like there's not a lot of like tangible connectedness, but it seems like we're able to maybe connect with people that we weren't able to connect with as well before. Yeah. It can be a journey to get up and go to a doctor's appointment in an actual clinic or, you know, something like that. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break and show a cute, it is cute, a quick little video, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're back. That wasn't the video I was thinking of, but we'll say that was our outro, which is okay. We're still back, and we'll just play the video as our outro this evening. So no worries, we can go with the flow, right?
Yep.
So what does your spirituality look like now?
To be honest, my spirituality has become even stronger. Not even because of COVID. Not even because of COVID, but just because of the things that I have gone through in the past 2 years. Has gotten stronger because, everybody goes through things in their life. Bad things, but it's up to you to know how to handle them. And I'm not going to lie, I did not handle them well in the beginning. It actually took friends, family members, therapists, which is very important, to take care of the mental health. It took therapists for me to be able to get to this point where I am right now. So right now, I am so amazed at how my spirituality has been able to get me through everything. Because it really has. My spirituality is so strong right now. When I tell you, I never used to go like this. When I used to, sit down before eating, every time I walk out the door, me persino, I bless myself, and like I said, you don't have to follow a specific religion. You don't have to, because some of these religions are not good for you.
Yeah.
But my spirituality as a person, as an individual, has grown so much, not even because of COVID, not even because of it, but just because it helps with my mental health.
Gotcha. Yeah. What kind of, I was going to say, how is your spirituality or prayer or acknowledging God, Christ, how does that impact your day to day? What does that do for you to help you?
It just makes me, besides helping me feel blessed, it gives me some type of anti-anxiety. That's one of the things I suffer from, anxiety. So, spiritually focusing on myself and not anybody else, not anything else, but specifically on myself, has actually helped me with battling anxiety.
Yeah, I feel like that mental, spiritual self or part of self, they seem so, at least in my experience, they seem so interconnected oftentimes.
Yeah. And it's so different for everyone. Every single person experience self-care, spirituality so differently. Some people like myself might go like this. Some people might pray before eating. Some people might sit on the side and have self, specific time for themselves. It's so different from everyone.
Yeah. It's so powerful just to take some it's surprising how just these little things we can do I know for me, it just reminds me of my purpose and what it is I want to do in my life and what I don't want to do with my life. Do you have community around your spirituality, or is it something that's very individual for you?
Right now it's very individual. It's very individual. Because I feel like right now, it's time for me to focus on myself. So that's why it's very individual. Even though there's a huge community for everything, and even though it's just for myself, I feel very comfortable going to a botanica and be like, you know what, I need a candle to keep negative people out of my house. I need a candle to bless my home. I need a candle to bless myself, to bless my family. There's something for everything, and I feel very comfortable doing that. I didn't used to before. Like I said, growing up Catholic, we don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
But now that I'm more educated and finding out about other things in life, I'm like, you know what? I am very comfortable going to the Botanica and getting some candles. They might sprinkle some glitter and doing some prayers, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't need to be scared of that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was just kind of reflecting on that a little bit today. I made my own ashes at home, and I stuck glitter in it. I burned it, did all that sort of stuff, and there was a part of me that felt like this seems very like witchy or very like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh wow, this seems very like, from what I would have been told was not Christian or was just a little woo woo, and I was like, oh no, this is, very, it's not, I know not all Christians do it, but it's a very like Christian thing. It's usually not something that, we don't get to we don't get to play with the stuff. Like it's usually the higher ups. But I was kind of reflecting on that today, that there's what's really all that different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What does your drag look like right now?
What do you mean?
As in like, not like what it looks like. It's more like, what are you doing in drag right now? Has COVID impacted drag? Has it changed it?
Oh yeah, of course. Like many performers all around the world, like it has prevented us from performing and, getting to do pageants, So right now my drag's in a little bit of a break, which is fine because it's very important to take breaks. A lot of people don't realize this, but it's very important to take breaks. Yeah. So right now, I'm very happy where my drag is at the moment. Like right now, I know, like, to me, being an ambassador for CDC's Let's Stop HIV Together program, that's like my national crown. Not to be cheesy, but to me, it feels like I won a national crown because, you have Miss Continental, Miss Gay US of A, Miss EOY, Miss Black America, you have all these national pageants, but all of these pageants had to be put on pause. We can't have people traveling and spending money and being together.
Yeah.
It sucks. It really does. So in a way, it has helped me to reshape, and I'm pretty sure to a lot of other people, to reshape their drag, their spirituality, and just their aesthetic. So right now, I'm perfectly fine with it. Being on a little break. It might seem like a little break, but it's actually time for you to like still be able to rebuild yourself.
Kind of regroup and hibernate a little bit in one area. But it sounds like you still got your crown. It's just in a different venue, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like, I really wanted to be part of this program. Like I really did, because I see a lot of the work that they've done. Like, come on, like CDC, like it's CDC,
Yeah.
So for me to be a part of that and still being able to, be involved in the planning process and being part of the whole initiative. And, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me, just like it means a lot to people who may have won a national title in the past.
Right. So what would you say is one of the biggest challenges right now with HIV?
One of the biggest challenges that I think it is getting people into treatment. Actually, it really is. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are HIV positive. They got diagnosed, but they never got into treatment.
And why is that? Do you know?
Because of the stigma behind it. Not only in your LGBTQ community, but here we go with culture and religion. All of that comes in hand when it comes to HIV prevention work and HIV treatment. Like, it's so unfortunate that we have so many people out there out of care, and that is actually the biggest, problem that we have. People are not getting into care, and not only because of stigma and religion and any of, and other things and culture, but also like one of the things that I'm learning right now is through substance abuse and use.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, I've been doing like webinars and trainings where like it's, very hand in hand, very hand in hand. So, that's one of the biggest things. Like, people that are HIV positive not all of them are getting into treatment and into care.
Right. Yeah. Do you see a group of folks that are struggling to get in care more so than other groups, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People of color,
Mm-hmm.
Black people, Latinx people,
Mm-hmm.
and undocumented people. Like, and here's the thing with my work that I've been doing is like, a lot of these people that come to me and be like, I'm HIV positive, I don't know where to go, I'm undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that there's the Ryan White program, the AIDS drug assistance program, well paid for the medication. Like, the CDC does not care if you're documented or undocumented. They just want to make sure that you are healthy, that you are not spreading it to others, and that we have a control on this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people don't realize, that, like, this whole stigma and culture and, all these things involved has put people out of care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would feel like that would be a really difficult thing to try to get a message out to folks in that way, in a way in which they could trust that they're going to be taken care of, and that, I don't know, they're not going to be turned in or turned away or anything like that. Is that a big part of what the campaign is that you're doing with the CDC as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like, like, not even through CDC, but like a lot of initiatives all over the US and the world want to make sure that at some point we get every single person that's HIV positive into treatment. Because we can stop HIV. That's the thing that people don't realize. We can prevent people from becoming infected.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people don't even realize, like, if a person's HIV positive, they're in treatment, they become undetectable, they can't infect their partners. They can't infect other people as long as they're on treatment and undetectable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lack of resources in education. There's a lack of people actually knowing about this, which is something very big in our community, LGBTQ or not. It's just something that needs to be addressed even more. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why, all these campaigns and photo shoots and, I'm on annoying statuses. Social media had to do with it. But I mean, we're trying our best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what it takes. Yeah. I totally used to be that girl. You received some praying hands from Juan Pablo earlier, a heart from Renee Anderson, and Blas. I just can't see very far away. Blas is also sending praying hands and a heart. If you folks have any questions for Milani, I would love to ask them of her. So please feel free to interact. Juan Pablo says, I'm from Humboldt Park too.
How was it like, together?
Right. He says, how was it like beginning in ballroom, being queer, and living in a Latinx community?
Being in ballroom and being Latinx is a little bit different. We've seen it in documentaries, but here in Chicago, it's something that in the beginning when I first started was not very positive. But once I became a mother of the House of Ninja, I started seeing the positivity. So being Latinx and being part of ballroom has been able to open many doors for not just, Black and African American people, but also for the Latinx community. And I will say this because I remember one time there was a research study being done through Stroger and some doctors and scientists, and they, in the ballroom scene, like leaders and house parents, and they invited me to be part of this community advisory board. When I got there, I was the only Latinx person. And the main doctor in charge of this research study goes like, Milani, you can see you're the only Latinx person here. But even though this specific study, this specific research study is just focused on African American and Black people, we still felt that we needed to include you as a Latinx person because you can still help us bring in people of color and it's still part of the same community. So I've actually been very fortunate to sit on boards where these grants are not focused on me, but they're still focused on people like me.
Right.
Yeah.
I was curious, for folks who aren't as familiar with the ball scene or the process, what does it take to become a mother?
Okay, like Willie Ninja said, in Paris is burning.
Mm-hmm.
Mother is the one who has the most trophy, the most respected. And I'm just kidding. It actually takes a lot. It takes a lot. I mean, anyone can be a house mother, but not any.
Right.
Like, I'll have a lot of kids in ballroom. I have kids outside of ballroom. And that's what I am very proud of. Like, for some reason, I've always had this very motherly instinct where, like, a lot of my kids that used to come through my empowerment LGBTQ program, they're at Howard Brown, they're at Chicago House, they're at Project Visa, they're at Calor. Like, they went everywhere. Like, my little babies went everywhere. So, like I said, it takes a mother to make sure that their kids go and continue the work. So it takes a lot, but it comes from within. It's not like just a little. So to some people, it might be a little tighter. Where like, okay, you're this person and you become mother. Could be, but a real mother knows their real role.
Right. And you can choose your children, and your children can choose you, or
yeah. You might have people that you look out from the barroom scene or like in the club scene, like, okay, you need to be my drag daughter. You need to walk this category. You need to compete in this category. Like it differentiates. Like it could be either or.
I'm curious. I know how has it been for you to be part of community and then kind of being put into the space where you're like an ambassador and you're like working in the HIV field? How has that been for you I guess, has that changed your role in community? Has it felt different for you?
It definitely has. It really has. Because whatever opportunity you get or that I've gotten, I've always made sure that it goes beyond that. So like I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I've gotten from being a mother of the House of Ninja, from being winning pageants, from being an ambassador. Like everything at some point it entwines with each other, and it makes the work actually work.
And we do have a question here. Before we go to that question, we will go to that question. So Becky asks, do you think that reinventing yourself in drag is gimmicky or a natural part of your performance? By the way, you both look great.
Thank you. I think reinventing yourself, it will always depend on the person. So I will never say it's bad, because reinventing yourself could either be good for yourself or look good for other people around looking at you. So it will always be good, and because the drag is changing and, there's new queens coming up, of course, reinventing yourself is very important, especially for a lot of. To do that.
Yeah. They froze for a second. So I was curious, what sort of advice would you have for I guess younger Milanis that are out there, Milani to bees, if you will? What would you say to younger folks like yourself?
No matter what you go through growing up, no matter what you will go through in your life, and no matter the struggles you go through as you're older, you will always get through it. It is not going to be easy. It is not. all of us have to struggle through a lot of things. For some of us, it might be easier. For some of us, it may not. But you have to understand that we have to go through the bad in order to get through the good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking from experience because I have been in very dark places where I have not been mentally myself, where I am now thankful that I went through those things because otherwise I would not have been here.
Mm.
So, whatever you're going through, for all you little Milanis and up and coming Milanis, up and coming legends, up and coming icons,
Right.
never ever give up on life. It's okay to take breaks. I will say that it's very important to take breaks. You owe it to yourself, but never ever give up.
Mm. And what kind of, I'm assuming that throughout your lifetime, there's been different things that have helped you, like in life. What are some of the things that you've been able to kind of get to help you with living, I guess, your best life?
Having a good support system,
Mm-hmm.
like that's very important. And your support system does, it can come from different ways. It can come from mentors, it can come from other drag performers, other trans women, family members, non-biological family members. You never know where this help and support can come from.
Yeah.
But there's always a way where this help can come to you.
Yeah. One of the things I feel like I've learned is that you never have to do it alone.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean I still choose to sometimes, and then I'm miserable and I feel, it doesn't feel as good, but I don't have to do anything alone. But I can too, right? But we can do it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Right. So what I noticed that you were, I saw a couple of your videos, and dancing is a big part of your performance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Have you professionally trained, or has that just been something you've learned along the way?
Okay, I love this question because I owe a lot of my dancing to Andy Lyric Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
For a Care Foundation in LA for a tour they did with a lot of like injury prevention stuff for a burlesque show. So, like I mentioned, I was very, very shy in high school, before high school. In high school, that's when I started to learn how to dance. And because I grew up in Homo Park, a lot of my friends were Puerto Rican. So I became part of the Puerto Rican dance group in high school. I went to Lane Tech, so I became part of Aspira. So what's funny is the same trainers that trained Anisha Lopez, Jay Sotomayor, and many other amazing performers in Chicago is the same person that trained me. So we're all trained through very similar dancers. We all have a huge group of friends that were in similar dance groups, similar dance companies. A lot of us came from the Chicago Dance International Salsa Congress. Even in high school, in Lane Tech, I was fortunate enough to take dance classes there because they offered PE dance, which was basically learning ballroom dancing, foxtrot, tango, all of that. So a lot of, which I am very thankful for that, because a lot of my dancing background comes from high school drag queens that came before me, dance performers in our Latinx community, and me stepping out of my shell to learning all these dance moves.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the videos I saw, you were dancing with Jade. Yeah, I think
when I was a sophomore in high school, he was my choreographer because we went to the same high school, but Jade graduated before me. So then later on, Jade came to teach us choreography for our dance group.
Yeah.
So there's always a connection between a lot of us.
Right. Yeah. Was that for a continental pageant?
Yes. Jade danced for me and choreographed my last Miss Continental talent that I did in 2017. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So what is in the future for Milani?
Okay, so for Milani, I still plan on winning Miss Continental Plus. I mean, my weight goes up and down. Right now, I qualify for Miss Continental Plus, but even before I lost the weight, even though I competed one time in the regular Miss Continental, my dream has always been in winning Miss Continental Plus. That has always been a dream of mine. So I know that it's like my number one dream right now, even though pageants are at a pause. That's one of my biggest dreams. Pageants will always be part of me. I don't care how old I am. I don't know. I don't care how I'm not able to do them. Pageants will always be part of me. But for now, I feel like it's just like a training mode, like a practicing mode, getting like prepared for future pageants because of COVID. Like, I don't plan on doing pageants anytime soon. Like, yes, I understand there's a lot of pageants going on right now, but I don't feel comfortable competing in them because a lot of these pageants, a lot of these contestants and people in the audience will wear masks, which I don't approve of. There's still a pandemic going on. So right now there's no way in hell that I will ever compete in a pageant anytime soon because I want to make sure that not only am I keeping myself healthy, but the audience as well. So right now, it's on a little pause. It's on a little pause, but I will make sure that I'm still going to keep competing in pageants. I'm still going to compete in balls. Actually, the last ball that I competed in was virtually, and obviously I won.
Obviously.
And we will continue to be part of ballroom. And here's the thing too, like a lot of people are asking that, like, what's coming next? Even though you're not, mother of the House of Ninja, even though you're not part of the House of Ninja, how are you still going to go ahead and be part of ballroom? And to me, it's like you make your own statement in ballroom. The house doesn't make you. You make the house. So whatever in the future, if I join another house, or if I create my own house, or if I just keep being 007,
right,
I will still make the same impact regardless of which house I'm
in. I know you will too. What does your ideal spirituality look like in the future? What would you like to do more spiritually for yourself?
I mean, I'm still doing research on Santeria. Like it's something I have learned to love. I really appreciate and I respect it so much. A lot of my friends practice it. Friends who have passed away, like Miss Kitty, La Madrina, they were part of it. It's something that I absolutely adore and respect. And I don't know, at this point, I don't know what my future is with that, but I will keep learning more about it because there's a lot to learn about it. Like it comes with, the whole slavery and colonizers and people coming into, the Central America, South America, Mexico. So it's a lot, but it's a connection that has always been there.
Fantastic. Well, we're running right at the end of time. Is there anything else that you would like to share or say before we go?
Sure. Make sure you guys go
yes
to www. What is it? HIV Prevention CDC. Make sure you guys check out the Let's Stop HIV Together program. It's through Instagram, Facebook, every social media platform, but please check it out. Please follow me and Miss Violet Bonnie.
Yes. Awesome, for sure. And I'll put that in the website in the description. So if folks are watching or listening on a podcast, you'll be able to connect to that website. So thanks so much for joining us tonight and for finishing off our series of Dragon Spirituality, Named and Known. We do have one comment. Anita says, "So much love to you both. Keep up your good work. Your involvement in the community and outreach for those who do not have access to healthcare or emotional help or whatever it may be. This is what being a good human is." Everyone matters. Thank you for being such good humans.
Thank you.
For sure. And I want to invite folks to join us. We have our series is climaxing with a spiritual drag brunch that will take place on February the 27th at 2 p.m. CST, Chicago time, and all of the artists that we've interviewed over this time will have a performance piece, as well as myself, and then our co-host will be Cleo Apocalypse. I'm really excited to have her as well join us. So it'll be live on Twitch. So again, I'll put all that information in and around the video wherever you're listening or watching. So until then, take care and play the last video. Bye-bye.